down through a farming district, Hines, and we finally leave Highway 1 at 10 past, quarter past 9 at Rangitata Junction. 79 up 10:30, 10:35 at Fairlie, we turn right and go westwards up towards the hills and crossing to the southwest over Burke's Pass, and that will then take us into the Mackenzie Valley around to the shores of Lake Tekapo. It's beautiful in this one. The first woman Prime Minister of our country came from this town as well, Mrs. Jenny Shipley. She was to rise through the ranks of the National Party and become their Prime Minister. That was way back 4 or 5 years ago. She was the first ever woman Prime Minister of our country. We've only had 2, and we'll follow that with the recent one. That's Mrs. Helen Clark. So we're always dominated with male Prime Ministers. We don't have a president, we have a Prime Minister. We're a Commonwealth country under the Queen's representative, which is a Governor General. And we also have our Governor General as a woman as well in New Zealand. They're normally appointed for 5-year terms, the Governor General. The government, they get 3 years voted in. So we're in a Labour government at the moment, led by Mrs. Helen Clark, the present former Prime Minister of New Zealand. The first one ever in our country's history was from this town, Ashburton, Mrs. Jenny Shipley. They do a lot of coach building in this town. So this bus we're travelling in is a Volvo, and it was built here by Design Light Coach Builders. There's a big factory further down to our right, half a mile away, which build buses, Volvos, Scanias, Swedish makes, MAN buses, and a lot of low-level buses for the cities of New Zealand like Christchurch and Wellington, which commute people to work. So they're built. sort of will go southwestwards over the hills once we leave Geraldine behind after our little refreshment stop up here. Trees which were growing up on the hills here, like the totara, the matai, kaihakatea, which is a white pine. They were some of the native trees which were growing, and they cut them down for early building requirements. So the early family was Talbot, the other family name in Ireland, the Geraldine name. So we got changed to a district name of Geraldine, and then the town eventually sprang up and it took that same name as well, and it's been that over many years. Geraldine. It's a good farming area, sheep, cattle and deer farms around here. It's been quite a prosperous farming area. So let's say some farmers retire off their land and they build homes up on the hills here to retire to, 5 or 10 acre blocks, some of them up on the hill blocks behind Geraldine. Separate teams and all that, yeah. Right across the country we play a lot of lawn bowls in New Zealand. Fishing in the rivers and lakes around here for trout and salmon fishing is a good pastime in retirement. Others like to do their gardens. They like to get into the warm days of summer and do their gardening and keep the weeds out and put their flowers in for the summer season and that. Others go walking up on the hills for exercise, reading, chopping and tamarind, things like that, I guess. So we will stop here and we'll get away at 5 to 10 at 9:55, so that'll give you 25 minutes to have a cup of coffee or ice cream or something, use the toilets or whatever. So it's just a morning refreshment stop here at the Oaks Tea Rooms, Geraldine. Bear in mind your lunch break will not be taken until nearly 1 o'clock at Mount Cook National Park, so depending on what you need to keep yourselves going, probably a nice warm drink at this stage of the day after an early breakfast is probably what the body may need, I suppose. No, lots of ice creams in New Zealand. We are a dairy country with dairy products, and there's lots of varieties of ice creams. One which you'll no doubt try while you're in New Zealand is called Hokey Pokey ice cream. It's a popular enough one across New Zealand over the years. But anyway, many varieties, so there's lots and lots of lovely creamy ice cream in New Zealand. 9:55 we shall depart, okay, from the Oaks Tea Rooms. 9:55. So the toilets are inside. As I stop up here, go to the left of the coach and inside the building you'll find the toilet facilities in the building. And as I say, you can get hot drinks and cold drinks in there as well, in the Oaks Tea Rooms, all that sort of thing. You need, I suppose. Yeah, they still have the name in Geraldine as Talbot Street after that early family in the 1850s, Talbot Street, Geraldine. This is the main business street of the little town community. The Oaks Tea Room's on the left, the toilets are inside, folks. It's on the glass doors and inside you'll see them once you're in there. Some on the paddocks on the left here somewhere, normally. Once again, second paddock back is another. Well, there's some on the left just in the gully here as well, some of the deer. All along here is deer farming, as you can see. The Earl of Dalhousie from Scotland gave us several red deer back in 1871, brought into our island and released in the Alps to breed, so foot shooters and deer stalkers could go and hunt them way back in the late 1800s, 1900s. Deer stalking, deer hunting was a big sport for men and sons in the early days. Just on the right there may be some llamas, big species on the right, and the paddock llamas on the right. The alpacas we see near Ashburton, they seem to be llamas. There's a little bit of a slight difference in them, not right into the main reason why they're slightly different, but there you go, Lake National Park. So we farm them here as well. We perhaps tend to call them the Indian name Wapiti. We have Wapiti farms, so they're actually elk really in New Zealand. It's only in the last 30 years we've been farming deer commercially in the lowland areas with sheep and deer and cattle. They move them around, and the paddocks have a little bit of a break after a while, so they can recover from being eaten down by all the stock. Also the velvet, which is produced on the antlers of the see away to our left in the distance the Pacific Ocean, just depending on how good the weather patterns are on our left shoulder. It's pretty hard to pick up the ocean, but it's just a few miles out on our left shoulder, the east coast of our island, Pacific Ocean. Some days from here it's quite a blue water view, we can see away on the east. So we're not going to see any more of it than that, because as we go over this ridge and rise, that's the last of the east coast positions you can see. We go further and further inland. One of our outer islands, which is probably under a little bit of New Zealand's ownership, is called the Chathams. The Chatham Islands, a few hundred miles out east of the South Island of New Zealand in the Pacific. Our neighbouring countries away to the east of the South Island of New Zealand would be Chile, South America. Many, many miles across to the east of New Zealand would be South American continent. So it's a long way across there. So we haven't got many friends east of us, folks. Less as the next various months come upon us, as they should weaken and warm up, because it's summer season down in the southern hemisphere part of the world. Initially, but the wool price is not great through here. $4 a kilogram, maybe $5 a kilogram, and it won't give you a big return. By the time you pay the cost of shearing the wool off each sheep each year, the drenching costs, the medicines that the farmers have to put into the sheep to keep them healthy, we call him chap with much of it in his hand by the time he pays all the bills, you know. And the Canterbury Plains and through here, you're more than like about April each year. April, early on, that's the autumn time. That's when they mated with the males. 5 months later, the lambs start to be born. And most of the females will give at least one birth. Some of them give twins, and some give triplets. So quite common now is the technology and the breeding programs on farms are very stable and very good. They can probably